Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another WXR. This time around, it's Wrestlemania. I am your host, The Fallen Angel. With me today, I have James Phoenix.
Tweet, 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 tweet.
Tweet, tweet.
Yo.
I have Marcus Shadow.
What's up?
And I have Chris the Mole.
Hello.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Wrestlemania is over for another year. And it was shit. I'm just putting it out there. We're just going to go through our likes and dislikes, with one definitely being bigger than the other. Would anyone like to start off?
What are we starting with, likes or dislikes?
Likes, because we'll do dislikes second.
Well, anyone who has listened to us wax philosophical about wrestling in the past, yeah, this should give you an indication of just how crappy this pay-per-view was, because unanimously across the board at the X-Pound, the match of the night was John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. So, yeah.
Yep.
The thing is, it was legitimately a fairly decent match.
Most definitely.
It was.
That's pretty much the only thing I liked.
From the card, like straight up, you got your Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. You get Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. The Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Cena versus Bray. You get Lesnar versus Taker. You get the Divas Championship Invitational and the Triple Threat main event. Mm-hmm. It seems like a really good card. Then it went all so wrong.
I will say the last, 5 or so minutes of the over-the-top Battle Royal was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Andre the Giant thing. That was actually pretty good. Once they got down to 8 people or 6 people, it actually was halfway decent.
Yeah, Kofi Kingston for the win.
That was amazing. I think that was luck too. I mean, I think they planned it, but at the same time, with the guy just literally falling out of the ring, you can't. You can only plan so far. If he misses the mark, he's eliminated effectively.
Technically not as long as he kept his feet up in the air.
Yep.
True.
And I'll say my likes. My likes for the pay-per-view in order, not in order, but together. Yes, Bray Wyatt v Cena was the match of the night. I liked the unique entrances for Triple H, Undertaker, and Bray Wyatt.
True.
I liked their entrances. They looked cool. I loved the Bellas going to the Divas on the outside. Cool fucking moment.
True.
That was a cool moment. The Divas match, I'm gonna say I kind of liked the Divas match. It had a few spots in it, and a few moments which were kind of cool. It had that. It had the Tamina thing where she gets shoved to the outside, which is kind of funny, or kind of fun. You know what I mean? That was kind of enjoyable. And besides that, I don't have too much more. The rest of them are just small little moments throughout the course of the night. Like when Undertaker locked on Hell's Gate to Brock Lesnar, I mentioned to the Crispy who's watching with us okay, if anyone gets out of this hold, it needs to, I know it's going to be Brock Lesnar, and I know how he's going to do it, and I mind the joining of the hands and stuff, because that's how they get out that move in MMA. That's what Brock does, and he did it perfectly. I was like, yes, they did that well. That was the proper reversal for that move. So there was a few little moments here or there, which were kind of cool.
I will say I did like Randy Orton's theme song, the fact that they did it live and it actually sounded good.
It did, yeah. A lot of times the guys sing the theme songs and they suck, so that was impressive.
The Wyatt family's
Yeah,
theme song was
I
still
don't
better.
think. Yeah, I don't think they needed the band there.
See, I was going to say I didn't think that either. The three entrances I mentioned, I liked their entrances at WrestleMania. The other ones, like when they did like the Randy Orton one and stuff, they seemed a little too like, it's WrestleMania, so we kind of need to do a special entrance. Fuck it, let's just have the band. It didn't feel special. Whereas like the Wyatt one singing, at least they put on the masks. They got into it a bit more. You know what I mean? It felt unique. Randy Orton's was just him walking out to his theme song. He does that every
Yeah.
week. The only difference is the band's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that Daniel Bryan not only came out once but twice and didn't have a special entrance.
Yeah, really.
Well, actually, he kind of had a special entrance. As I pointed out at the beginning of the night, the amount of people with Daniel Bryan signs, I wouldn't be surprised at, because if a lot of people had Daniel Bryan signs, fair enough. The fact most of the front row, the second row, and the third row, and fourth row, all around the TV section, all had the exact cleanly printed white cards with yes on it, means someone's handed them out, ready for his entrance.
Yeah.
There was way too many for it to be you know what I mean? There was way too many for it to seem real. It felt really fucking forced.
Mm.
That's not true, Mo. I've played WWE 2K14. You'll see 5 of the same guy with the same sign in the front row all the time.
You will. You won't see fucking 30 or 40 or 50 of them all in like 3 rows. Even the game knows to make them at least a little bit random.
Yep. I can agree.
So
with
was
that.
there anything else that anybody liked?
I liked Antonio Cesaro winning the Battle Royal with a body slam to Big Show out of the ring.
I like the way
Yes.
Stephanie McMahon was dressed.
That was also good.
That I didn't like that. Those short shorts, they just didn't work.
I liked the way Stephanie was dressed. It pleased them all.
Of course it did.
As Lita would have
Um,
said, it was slut-tastic.
Now, I will say, I also liked, and I shouldn't have, but I liked Vicky Guerrero when she did her laugh and introduction, only because the fact she had a special little Vicky Guerrero podium for WrestleMania to stand on to do that seemed so stupid, forced, and over the top. It was almost a parody of how bad and over the top and forced most of the event was, so I say bravo.
Nice.
I also like the fact, technically speaking, JBL implied Andre the Giant's in hell.
This is true too.
His exact words were, Andre's looking up and smiling. And I know he fucked that up. I know that's not the way he worded it in the sentence, and the fact he was praising Andre means he did not mean to say that. But the way it came across was like, did you just imply he's in hell? I don't think you meant to do that. If he meant to do that, that would have been disrespectful, and I wouldn't have liked it or anything like that. I mean, I don't like it because I don't like Andre. I like Andre. I like what he did. I like it because of the fuck up and the fact no one addresses it. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
So I believe we've got all our likes out of the way.
How about Jim?
Because
Oh, I said I like the ending of the Battle Royal with Cesaro. I think it's good they're pushing Cesaro. I like the Cena Bray Wyatt match. So that was pretty good. I like that. I like the fact that Cena was at least attempting to sell the gimmick of this match, despite the fact that basically it just looks. He basically lifted a chair over his head and looked like he was constipated. But
More than Daniel Bryan did.
yeah, but that aside, I at least tried to sell a match, and it was kind of believable. And Bray Wyatt did a great job there too. So that match really ended up being a great match on all sides. So I really like that also. Also shout out to the WrestleMania 1 main event making amends with each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would also like to say the other thing I did like was the very beginning of WrestleMania, where The Rock did not bring it via satellite. He actually showed the fuck up. So kudos to that because that was fucking awesome. With The Rock, Stone Cold, and Hogan in the ring.
But you watched it on the WWE Network, which means technically it was via satellite.
No, technically it was via internet. It would have been via satellite if I had actually watched it on my DirecTV and paid $60 for it.
All right. So I'll give my one like, other than everything that's already been stated, and then I'll head over to the dislike pile.
Mm-hmm.
The one like that no one's mentioned, Undertaker's entrance with all the caskets. That was fucking awesome.
Mole mentioned it.
Yes, and the conveniently obscured 3 Triple H and CM Punk caskets.
You saw the CM Punk one.
Did you? I didn't see it.
Yeah, you saw the CM Punk one, but yeah, they did. And you saw the Triple H ones, and it cut to the static, and then it went back. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was. They did almost try to hide the Triple H ones.
Yeah, and I think that also, like, doing that and then setting Lesnar's casket set on fire, I think it pretty much said that Taker was going to lose. So, yay. Dislikes. Pretty
Everything
much
else.
the rest of the show. Yeah, the rest of the show was pretty much one big dislike.
Mm-hmm.
So starting with what am I going to start with? Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. What a waste of time that was.
Yeah, pretty
The
much.
Shield completely destroyed and dismantled Kane and the New Age Outlaws within 5 minutes. It was a waste of a spot on the roster.
Well, as was pointed out to me when I said that, one of these gentlemen, I believe it was Wall, pointed out that it still put the Shield over.
My point with that my point was it put the Shield over. Kane's not the dominant monster Kane at this point, since he was made Daniel Bryan's bitch and all that. And the New Age Outlaws are a joke to the tag team division. The fact they've been burying everyone. I want to see them get completely destroyed and then fucking move the fuck on from them. And the fact it happened that fast, that's what the New Age Outlaws deserve at this point.
Yeah. Next dislike, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. The first, however long before the last 5 minutes, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just didn't at all. I know there's 30 people in the ring, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
and also, yeah.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, can I just say I hated the name?
Yeah.
Like I pointed out to the others, it should have been Big Show that won. Because either A, name it the Body Slam Award to celebrate Hogan slamming Andre and make the trophy him slamming Andre, and then the ending makes sense. Otherwise, making it the Andre the Giant Battle Royale makes it seem like the superstar who wins best represents Andre the Giant and the spirit of which he intended to be, which he was always a friendly guy. He was always a friendly giant in a giant's body. And the only person on the roster that represents that is Big Show.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also the 3 spots that were still open in the Battle Royal should have gone to some returning or some surprise entrance instead of Brad Maddox.
I'm going to say Brad Maddox was a surprise to me, only because I was expecting Christian to be there. I swear they told us Christian was going to be in the Battle Royal.
They also told us Christian was going to fight Biggie for the Intercontinental title.
No, I mean, I swear WWE told us Christian was going to be at the WrestleMania in the Battle Royal. I swear they did.
Oh yeah, and Yoshitatsu was there. He was the first one eliminated. Yeah, he was the first one eliminated, and he wasn't announced that he was eliminated.
Okay then.
Yoshitatsu needs to form a stable with the Usos so they can call it Yoshi's New Islanders.
Actually, he was kind of announced. One of the commentators, I think it was Cole, who was like, "Well, there goes Yoshitatsu." I'm like, "Wait, Yoshitatsu still has a job?"
Yeah, that was my thought as well. So the next dislike has to be. I don't consider it a dislike really, but it's in that pile that Brock Lesnar defeated the Streak.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm pretty sure Mole has a few words on this one.
Nope. When it happened, like I said, I turned to the Crispy and I said, "Told you." From the beginning of the feud, with every single legend saying Undertaker was going to win and no one mentioning Brock, the fact every week Undertaker's been making Brock look like a joke, except for the 1 week, and that was last week, it was so fucking obvious Brock was winning. To the point where, when it happened, I wasn't raging, I wasn't emotional, anything like that. I was just like, I called it. And that was literally my response. However, I will say, with it being Brock Lesnar, I will say I approve of it being Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
For one reason. Chances are this is going to be Undertaker's last match in WWE, and Undertaker would want to retire. And like when Ric Flair picked Shawn Michaels because he was a fan of Shawn Michaels and everything he represented, Undertaker is a fan of UFC. We've seen him at the events. We know he's a fan of Brock Lesnar. We know he's been behind the guy's career since early on and stuff like that, which, yeah, okay, you could argue it should be Kane, which I can kind of agree with, but the fact it's Brock means it's more personal to the guy himself, which means it's a fitting way for him to retire. I approve. I think the match lacked in quality, but I wasn't surprised by the ending, and I'm not going to rage at it with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting. Yeah. It's sad to see it was sad to see the streak end, but it was taken by he's not a good wrestler, but it's just Brock Lesnar.
He's not a good professional wrestler, but he's a great fighter.
Yes.
And a lot, especially early on in Undertaker's career, he was never a great wrestler. He's become one over the years. But I liked him since the beginning. But early on, he wasn't the best wrestler, but he was a great fighter. And that's what Brock represents. But I don't know how Marcus and James feel about that. About the matchup and the ending and stuff.
I mean, I could kind of agree with you. I still feel Brock didn't deserve to be the one to break the streak, but I understand what you're saying, and it does make sense. And hey, if it's special to Mark, then so be it.
Yeah, if it's something to him, then that's certainly worth it. I think it would an opportunity to use this once in a lifetime opportunity to build a new star and give yourself a powerful babyface for almost the entire duration of that person's career. But I can understand why if Undertaker wanted it, why it would happen this way.
How would the new up and coming end the streak make them a powerful babyface? Wouldn't that make them a powerful heel so they could do the whole Jericho heel heat of I beat the streak over and over again?
They could. Or it could be that, it was somebody Undertaker, agreed to fight on a mutual ground. They build it up as a big face-v-face match. That's what I always figured it would be.
Well, can we also point out the book ending?
What's that?
Undertaker's streak ended when Paul Bearer was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Paul Bearer, rest in peace. We're basically remembering you, and Undertaker's career is over at the same time. It's kind of a nice bookend. Even though Paul Bearer wasn't there from the very beginning, it's still a nice bookend.
Yeah, it's almost like Taker gave up his powers, which kind of works because he did give the urn to Bearer's sons. Because they had the urn when they came out earlier in the night.
Right.
So that kind of works. The only thing I was really disappointed in with that was I was kind of hoping that as Taker was walking up the ramp that Kane would come out. But it didn't happen.
It didn't. Although, let's face it, I think Kane's going to be the one to introduce him into the Hall of Fame next year.
Probably.
More likely than not.
It's either going to be him Or it's gonna be Michelle McCool.
Or it's going to be Triple H and Shawn Michaels. No. Please don't let it be Triple H and Shawn
No,
Michaels.
please.
But
I could totally see that happening because of their egos, but yeah, no, please don't do that.
Yeah. Can I say one of my biggest disappointments with this pay-per-view, Fallen Angel?
Yeah.
I realised this when looking at it and stuff. In my opinion, this pay-per-view wasn't as bad as we think it was. My main problem with it is, A, it was a WrestleMania, and B, they started the show with Hogan, Austin, and The Rock. Throughout the night, we had stuff like Hall of Famers on the front row. We had stuff like an extra commentator's booth to introduce a new language to show how the WWE is evolving. We learned about the WWE Network. We saw the commentators and stuff like that constantly zoomed in on them, constantly talk about the matchup. They spent more time telling us why this event was important than they did showing us. And that was my problem. They kept telling us, you should care. This is WrestleMania. Then didn't give us a reason to care. That makes the disappointment more.
Yeah.
If they had toned that down, it wouldn't have been as bad. Because I'm going to say it's not the worst WrestleMania ever. I personally dislike WrestleMania 2000 the most. But it's a case of, if they spent so much time telling us, this is the 30th of WrestleMania. This is the WrestleMania 30. This is the big one. This is why WrestleMania is great every year. This is why you should care. And then they did fuck all with it. It's like they thought just telling us why it was good was just basically as good as showing us why WrestleMania was good. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah. It's definitely something to look at and consider. Because that is pretty spot on. The quality of this WrestleMania was very, very low.
It was very low, but my point was it was very low, but so much of it was telling us it was good, and so much of it was hyping up why this was good, because it's the 30 years of WrestleMania. Hell, even in the video game, we had a mode celebrating 30 years of WrestleMania. And this is what we got.
Yeah, pretty much. Basically, it's like in the game industry and in any industry, it was overhyped and it didn't deliver on the hype. But I will go on record as saying that my biggest disappointment for this WrestleMania was Daniel Bryan. Now, I'm a big Daniel Bryan fan. I do live in Washington. Hell, we're all big Daniel Bryan fans. But it's no secret, we absolutely hate what the WWE's done with him. And this was just the absolute worst. He had no business being in that main event. He had no business winning that main event. He should have lost to Triple H. End of story.
The worst part about the Daniel Bryan thing, like I kept pointing out during it when we were watching it, he had an injured shoulder. He spent the whole match doing shoulder tackles and stuff like that through top ropes and shit to Triple H, and doing flip-ups and stuff, no selling his arm. Then he gets power bombed. He gets Batista bombed and RKO'd at the same time through an announce table. He gets off the stretcher before he even gone up the ramp and carries on. He basically no-sold his injuries to the absolute extreme. This is worse than anything I've seen Cena do, which I know a lot of people out there are going to be, boo, come on. But come on, people need to get over it. This was worse than anything I've seen Cena do. I understand the payoff. I understand why they wanted to do what they did. They could have done it in a much better way.
Yeah, it says it all when Triple H sold injuries a lot better than Daniel Bryan. That's just kind of sad, in my opinion.
Yeah, like how I personally would have done this feud going in there. You want Daniel Bryan to be in the main event? Fair enough. What I would have done is at WrestleMania, have Daniel Bryan choose someone to represent him to go against Triple H. If that person wins, and maybe have Daniel Bryan at ringside like Stephanie was, if that person wins, Daniel Bryan's in the main event, so he doesn't have to wrestle. And make it someone like Sheamus. That would be a good call after the history with Sheamus and Triple H. Make it someone like, and I'd be Daniel Bryan forgiving Sheamus and be like, look, this guy defeated me in 18 seconds. I know what he can do. But come on, Sheamus. Then Sheamus wins. Daniel Bryan goes into the main event. And don't have them spend most of it double teaming him because they think he's unworthy of being an underdog. Make it a decent match.
Yeah.
And like half through the main event, I knew what the ending was going to be. I knew he was going to make Batista tap because that's just how it was going to happen. Because now that they're just going to have the fact, oh, it wasn't Orton that tapped out. Orton didn't lose the titles, Batista did. So we're going to have a rematch at Extreme Rules.
To be fair, they would have had a rematch anyway, but
Yeah.
But see, I didn't think it was going to end with a tap out. I'll be honest. The way I thought it was going to end was, I figured they were probably going to double team Bryan during the matchup, and I thought he was going to be destroyed or whatever. I thought he was going to be dead in the corner, and I thought Randy Orton was going to do his out of nowhere RKO to Batista, turn around when Daniel Bryan do his out of nowhere kick to him and pin Orton. That's how I thought it was going to end.
Yeah. So after that, we're moving on to the next disappointment, match, the Vicky Guerrero Divas Championship Invitational, which was a 14 diva match for one fall. Mother of God.
Yeah, that match was terrible.
That match was pretty good.
It had some good spots, but yeah.
It had some good moments, and I'm going to say that matchup, it was a little clustered and they had too many people in there, but I'm going to compare that matchup to the old Money in the Banks at WrestleMania. That was basically a matchup in which all the divas went out there. When people don't give divas enough credit, all the divas went out there and they showed what the fuck they could do. You had like Tamina take the spot off the turnbuckle, like I mentioned. The Bellas jumping through the rope, submission moves locked on, reversal after reversal sometimes, double teaming, triple teaming, like fucking the Bellas doing the kick and drop kicking two people off the apron. It was a great way to showcase the divas.
This is true.
And it was a great way to show what they could do. Hopefully, WWE does that more often. Maybe trims down how many people to, like, say 4 divas or 5 divas or something. But I liked it. I liked that second. That was my second favorite matchup behind the Cena one because when I was watching it, I enjoyed it because it was actually showing you what the divas could do. I approved of that.
Fair enough.
And Jim's remarkably quiet.
There's Jim. Jim's normally fucking yelling.
Yeah, Jim hasn't had an opinion most of this podcast. Jim, speak.
I don't have an opinion on much. I generally agree with what you guys have been saying.
Well, that's all right then.
I think Jim is just afraid to speak because he realizes if he does, I may fire him again like I did last week.
Continuity, boom.
We had to mention it once.
Indeed. Anyway, yeah. Overall, I thought it was good for a pay-per-view, subpar for a WrestleMania. That's my overall opinion on that.
Fair enough. I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay for a pay-per-view. Shit, absolutely shit for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, if everyone has dislikes out of the way, if there's any more they'd like to mention that I didn't already mention.
Any more dislikes?
No,
Most of the
not
divas
really.
were shit. Other than Natty and Tamina hitting a couple of good moves and Summer Rae had something good going to the corner there, most of the divas wrestling was shit. Bellas were okay, I guess.
Wow, you didn't hear a single thing of what Mole said, did you?
I didn't hear him talk about the divas, no.
Okay.
All right, then.
I do have to say, I know Mole mentioned it kind of grouped together, but since you mentioned Undertaker's entrance, I do have to mention in slight detail Triple H just That armor was fucking awesome.
Mm.
That
Why are you
cape,
mentioning it during
helmet.
dislikes?
Because we're about to wrap it up.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I sadly didn't get to see the armor. I have to go back and watch a clip of that.
You could probably find images of it on Google, I would imagine.
I have 2 words for you, Jim.
Probably.
Are you ready, Jim? I have 2 words for you. And no, not that before anyone makes the obvious DX joke.
True love.
No. My 2 words to describe Triple H's entrance. Throne whores.
Yes!
Fair enough.
Yes. Actually, you could do the easy thing and just go watch the WrestleMania replay on WWE Network, since you now have WWE Network.
This is true. Available now only $10 a month on WWE.com.
Indeed.
Okay, so we'll do a final wrap-up. Mole, if you want to start.
I pretty much summed it up before. Like I mentioned, my WrestleMania 30, it wouldn't have been as bad if they didn't keep hyping up what it was. Even during the event, they were showing us how great WrestleMania has been over the course of the years and why this was important. And the commentators were trying to sell complete shit as being up there with Hogan slamming Andre the Giant, and up there with mentioning probably a whole bunch of crap. That wasn't needed. We didn't need that. That makes the blow worse. That really makes it much worse. I'd be like, if you want a blind date and your friend spends the entire time talking to you about how hot and attractive your date is, and then you get Vicky Guerrero.
Yeah.
And then
So
constantly sits next to you at dinner saying, yeah, isn't she hot? Come on, look at her breasts. Oh, come on, a few years ago they were really toned. No, stop that. I don't like that shit. It's like that's really annoying. Although I will say, just because no one else will, Bob Backlund appearance. Woo!
Yeah.
That was cool.
I mean,
Bruno Sammartino appearance.
yeah, I will say I did cheer for the Bret Hart appearance, and I did actually cheer for the Bob Backlund appearance.
Yep.
So what is your final score, Mole?
I don't know. I'd give it a 5 out of 10.
Very nice. Jim?
I give it a 5.5.
Marcus?
Yeah, this WrestleMania kind of sucked as far as WrestleManias are concerned. And like Wilson, I didn't really notice it until he just talked about it now. But he makes a fair point in that they basically showed you why WrestleMania is good, and then gave you this, and it's like, wow, you just brought to light just how bad this WrestleMania is. Good job, people.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what we had in the past. This is what you have now. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
This is your WrestleMania. This is your WrestleMania on drugs.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I also missed the segment that they do every year where they recap all of the stuff that's happened in WrestleMania at the end of the show, and the part where they show you fan access. They didn't really show that stuff this time. I'm guessing it's because they want to keep it for the WWE Network pre-shows and for fucking after shows and during shows and fucking on the toilet shows and shit. I don't care. Fuck it. Make the pay-per-view like the pay-per-view. That'd be like fucking, I don't know, you go to watch Star Wars, instead of an actual opening score, they say, nah, it's fine, it's going to be on the DVD under extra features. You want an ending to your film? Nah, extra feature on the DVD. No. Fuck that shit. Make the pay-per-view the pay-per-fucking-view. If this is the likelihood of what's going to happen with wrestling because of the network and with the people in charge, I'm not buying next year's WrestleMania.
So to finally wrap it up, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Are you not going to let me give it a rating?
Well, I thought you did, so...
No.
Chop chop.
I give WrestleMania 30, like Mole, a 5 out of 10. I'd also like to quickly mention, since I think I'm the only one that actually watched it, and it is part of WrestleMania, the the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, just long as hell, but it was pretty awesome. Definitely, Paul Bearer's induction was the highlight of the night.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd point that out. It was pretty cool. If you guys get a chance to check it out, do so. Do look for the truncated version because, yeah, they tend to ramble, as old people do.
Yep. We'll
Yeah.
say that that's something that disappointed me as well. When they brought the Hall of Fame people out, and it's like, basically, I don't know, the class, whatever the fuck that is, the leader of the class, whatever the fuck it is, Ultimate Warrior and his Titantron goes off and stuff, cool. And then he just comes out and he's just like, thank you, and then stands there. I'm like, wow. When they had Austin, he came out and went round the ring in his fucking ATV. When they've had other people, they've come out and done their entrances or done something. I wanted them to just run to the ring and grab the rope one last time and go up and down. And we know he's got it in him. We know he's got it in him. Just do it once.
He does have it in him. But based on, because I watched the Hall of Fame ceremony, based on that and what he said and the way he acted, yeah, physically Ultimate Warrior is done. He's never coming back, and I don't think he wants to come back as the Warrior. I don't think he wants to do any of that ever again. The closest thing that we will ever get to that is at the end of his induction thing. The last thing he does is the, and that's it. That's the end of the Warrior. So I was hoping he would do it, but I really wasn't expecting him to do it because I know he probably didn't want to do it.
Yeah, like you mentioned, he said no more match or whatever it was, but even if he didn't want to run down to the ring and do it, they could have had one of those old WrestleMania style mini rings, bring him out and just get him to do it on that, at the top of the stage.
True.
Just a little thing.
Yeah. So as I said, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't great. It wasn't evilly bad. It was just somewhere in the middle.
Fair enough.
So if no one else has anything to say, we'll wrap it up. All good?
All good.
Oh, good.
All good.
Very well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another WXR WrestleMania edition. See you next time.
In the morning.